The museum is obviously the most notable and certainly the physically present part of the organization most recently added. The Memorial Fund is broken into what we refer to as 3 pillars, one of which of course is the memorial, where we honor the fallen, one of which is officer safety and wellness, where we try to in part take some of the data related to those line of duty deaths and to think about, talk about, craft, create, edit, push out programs that we think are going to make it safer for the men and women who are doing the job. But that central pillar is the museum. It opened in 2018. It really is, again, perhaps I'm biased, but I think it really is quite an amazing place and space, which really does help to tell the story of American law enforcement, to give people a sense of the broad stretch of history of which law enforcement has been and continues to be a part. And it really does allow visitors to sort of metaphorically walk in the shoes of a man or woman in uniform, to really get a sense of how powerful even a single police officer can be, and I would argue is, in the communities that they're serving. And so that is the purpose of the museum, this great and amazing place to come and help not just tell the stories of the men and women who have died in the line of duty, but tell the story of law enforcement writ large, to again showcase that law enforcement has been and continues to be just an overwhelming force for good. And that story is here.
It's important to have this museum for a number of reasons. You know, when the leaders of this organization at the time, when they were planning and envisioning this museum, I think what they understood at the time was that there was a big gap in understanding what law enforcement officers do every day and the impact that they've had around the country. This museum begins to solve for that gap. When you look at other places within the country that would even remotely have an opportunity to touch on some of those subjects, no other place can do that like we can.
I want people to know the story behind these names. And so we wanted to tell all of law enforcement's story in the museum, but we wanted to have a special place in that museum. We call it the Hall of Remembrance, where we tell the stories of the men and women who've made the ultimate sacrifice. And we allow friends, colleagues, family members to come in there, sit down at a kiosk and type in a tribute, a remembrance. Who was that person in life? You know, something that you'd like people to remember them for. And we have this beautiful record now of colleagues and family members telling us who each name on this wall was. And that will become a permanent record for future visitors, generations to come, to learn about the names on these memorial walls. And as you enter that Hall of Remembrance in the museum, you see the hundreds of pictures of fallen officers. These are the officers who were added that particular year. And behind all the pictures, you see this word come out, and it says, remember. The idea is never forget, always remember these men and women who've given us their lives for public safety. And it's a beautiful space. We also include mementos that have been left here at the memorial. And we have a special exhibit there honoring the Police Unity Tour, you know, whose motto is "We ride for those who died." They've raised more money for this memorial fund than anybody else ever. And we thought it was only appropriate that we honor the Police Unity Tour in that special place as well. And they are the sponsors of the Hall of Remembrance.
So within the volunteer program, we have museum guides, and those volunteers are former law enforcement officers. So all of the tours that are given within the museum are done by former law enforcement. And so what was really important to us when we were designing this program was creating opportunities for people to connect with law enforcement officers, not just come here and see a historic artifact or read a story on the wall, but to really bridge that gap in understanding and to break down some of the walls that we have built through different encounters, right? Whether or not you got pulled over for speeding, or, you know, whether or not you were influenced by what you saw on social media or the news. We want people to come here and challenge their beliefs and to think about a different perspective. And so we designed this program as an opportunity for people to engage with the law enforcement officer throughout their experience here at the museum. So they have tailored the tours to be a little bit more specific to their own experience, so they can incorporate stories that they've experienced and make it a little bit more personal. And an extension of that, which has been a really popular feature at the museum since it opened, are our 2 simulators that we have. So we have a decision simulator that is taught by former law enforcement training instructors and former law enforcement officers. And people get a sense of some of the split-second decisions that officers have to make, de-escalation techniques, use of force policies. I mean, it really is an in-depth experience, and people can, up to about 15 or 20 at a time, go into the simulator, have a conversation with a law enforcement officer, and get to try it for themselves. It's a really unique experience, and I would say 99 to 100% of the time, walk out with a different perspective on what it means to be a law enforcement officer. We also have another simulator, which is a patrol sim. It's an opportunity for people to feel what it's like behind the wheel of a patrol car. You have the laptop installed, you have all the sirens, you have everything that a patrol car has. So you get to feel the stress in a way that you don't feel when you're driving your own car and having to account for everything that's happening on your left and your right and in front of you. From start to finish, people have a really unique opportunity here to engage with a law enforcement officer. And I think that's a really impactful aspect of the museum. Public programs are an important aspect of any museum and public organization. When you have an exhibit and you have an artifact, seeing an artifact is really important, and being able to connect that to a public program, the history that artifact is communicating. In the museum, you have about, 800 characters, right? You have a label that you can use to describe what it is, where it's from, and its significance. Then you can take that story and you can dive deeper into a program where people can hear the people behind those stories, and it unlocks it in a different way. When the pandemic hit, we had this aha moment where we transitioned out of necessity on some level, but also it was a really great opportunity to look at what our digital programming can accomplish. We started looking at what we had planned for in-person and how we could execute those programs and achieve that connection we were working toward through digital means. We created a podcast network called Precinct 444 that's been running now over 2.5 years. A lot of different types of conversations. We have a series that we focus on leaders in law enforcement. We call that the Icon series. We have Law and Disorder, where we touch on true crime lifeline, where we focus on safety and wellness programs. And then a fourth one that we really get into museum-related topics, history, stories, things like that. What we've been able to do through the growth of our digital programs, as well as the in-person experience here at the museum, together, we have over the last couple of years built a really robust experience. And that experience is available to people whether they can, come here in the museum, and if they can't, then they can access the tons of information that we have through our other platforms that are available. We have invested a lot of time in archiving previous programs. Those programs at the time were focused on in-person experience, but we have them all recorded, but they weren't available. So we have just launched on our website a public program page, and it is extremely well organized and in chronological order, and you can also separate by categories. Every public program that we've done is available for free. When you're here, you're well contained, and it's a really immersive experience. I mean, being here underground, you don't have the distractions. The museum size is really digestible, and while it is packed with information, it's an experience where you can come and feel like you learned a lot, and you don't feel like you missed something that was really critical to the experience. We have a very successful group tour program where our visitors can come as a group. Those school groups, the young people, young professionals, What we want to be for them is a place that's inspiring, a place where if you're interested in becoming a law enforcement officer, you're going to hear stories, you're going to have an opportunity to learn about the history of law enforcement in a way that you might not be able to do in your own community. And so if you're thinking about a career in this field, it exposes you to a lot of different aspects of that career, but also the stories and the valiant, heroic aspects of some of the people that have come before them. But really looking at the next generation and how do we perpetuate what's great about law enforcement in the next generation.